Hello everyone, that's Niyapila. Welcome to You Need Art and Art Needs You, the conversation series with me, mcmathabo, where we have the conversation behind the conversation. And Namhlanje, we are going to be unpacking a matter that I feel would be remiss if we were to glide over it without fully ripping it apart to understand what the matter at hand really is about. We are talking about the Nirvana Nokwe-Mseleku versus Bonko Khoza debacle. I say debacle because there are many things that people are saying online, people are saying in their groups of conversations, and I hope that Tina Sobabini will be able to bring the variables at hand for us to properly understand what the matter is. And before we get to the matter at hand, let us talk about those variables. A variable is the show itself, right? Red Ink, the show was on in 2023. There was an intimacy coordinator on set. There were 12 crew members. Who else was there? We also know that production was informed about the whole situation. We have raw footage that is being referred to. And also, we need to think about the socio-political background of GBV in this country, and more than anything. And I know that this is something that people may not take into account, but we also need to take on the discipline of acting and its role in this violence. Nirvana, in 2026, the year that we're in now, she comes to social media and she tells us about a harrowing encounter that she had with the beloved Bonko Khoza. The industry is divided. People immediately choose sides, right? Based on what they know about what sexual violence is and based on what they know about the two characters at hand. And this is another variable that we need to unpack, is how we perceive sexual violence and how we perceive sexual violence within the entertainment industry, because the scene at hand that the Nirvana brings to the fore, it is a scene that is premised on sexual violence itself. It is violence within a sexual violence scene, yeah? So she reports this and she then explains how at times she's taken to pillar to post. She's told to go report it formally to the police. But one thing that we fail to look at is the moment of encounter right after the scene, right? After the scene, Nirvana speaks to her scene partner, Bonko, and she says, hey, dude, what happened in the scene? And she is asking what happened in the scene because there was a moment to choreograph the scene. So for those who may not know, when it comes to very sensitive scenes, such as intimacy scenes, a person comes and helps choreograph the whole engagement so that safety is taken into account, right? These are still our bodies, even though we go on stage, we go on TV, we go on film, and we share our lives with our characters, but these are still our bodies. We are able then to communicate these are no-go areas, or this is how I think the scene will make better sense, and it better holds us in us negotiating what it is that is done with the body. They went through that, yeah? And it was agreed within those rehearsals what will be done, what will not be done. Now, in the scene, Bonko took it to the max, went over and above, according to Nirvana, went over and above what was agreed upon. And right after that scene, she goes up to him, she's like, hey, dude, what do you mean? And the words have grace. This is a tense scene. This is a tense production. I may be paraphrasing here. Those are the words that leave his mouth. Now, people may think, it's not a train smash. We are acting here. Umoya will take over. And in the presence of 12 other people, Bonko was not seen to be guilty based on what Nirvana leveled against him. The raw footage itself was sent to production, and production also agreed with the fact that there was no grievance that is legitimate in the sense. The police as well are saying that there is no grievance that is legitimate in this case. Now, my question is, my very first question, all the people who have authority to judge whether or not a violence was truly enacted, were they in the room when the agreements with the intimacy coach were made? Because it goes back now to the perception we have of sexual violence. Because in this country where GBV is rampant, we have fallen into a deep trapping where we do not necessarily care about the violence itself, but the scandal around it. Yeah? So were the people, was production in the room with the intimacy coordinator to know what was choreographed in order for them to judge and say, oh no, based on the choreography that was established between Bonko, Nirvana, and the intimacy coach, Bonko went overboard? Were the police there? Absolutely not. Was the crew there? We don't know. And this is a legitimate question. This is not a rhetorical question. Was production aware of what was agreed upon for them to make a judgment that, oh no, there is no grievance at hand? Which leads me then to my final point, friends. This is a prime example of improvisation gone wrong. Right? The reason why we want or we need to have intimacy coordinators, we need to have stunt coordinators in the room is that we care about the craft, and part of the craft is its people. We need to be able to take care of each other as practitioners. I need to be able to trust you. In fact, I'm speaking about practitioners who know this. Bonko knows that trust is an imperative part of creating a scene. Nirvana herself knows that trust is an imperative part of creating a scene. And you contravene this contract for self-serving interests, because when we don't know your intention, it becomes self-serving. What was the cost? And the dark irony is the fact that Bonko vehemently says that he is against sexual violence. The scene that he plays a scene of a person who is sexually violating someone. And because the foundations of performance that also rest on trust and consent, those variables as the actor body, he chose to contravene, and that made him into a violator. The sick irony. The twisted irony. So the reason why I say it's a sick and twisted irony is because people are championing the wrong thing on social media. People are championing the fact that Bonko is not a predator. No one is saying Bonko is a predator. What is being leveled by Nirvana here is saying that Bonko could serve his own interest in the scene at the expense of a scene partner. And in the realm of performance, that is egregious.
Great events deserve a great host. From conferences, brand launches, red carpets, festivals, and summits, with multi-sectoral experience, I deliver memorable conversations, seamless facilitation, and authentic brand storytelling for personal and corporate gatherings. I'm here to serve your next event as MC, facilitator, speaker, and brand advocate. Let's take your event to the next level. Email me or visit my website to learn more. I'm your host, mcmathabo, creating conversations that connect and experiences that last.
I want us to be able to speak about this matter, friends, outside of the people who are in it. We love Bonko. You guys know this, who have been following me for quite a while. I did a whole review doting over his performance. We love him. Nirvana, she has made her own impact within the performance space. We need to speak on a principled matter here. When a practitioner goes over and above a contract that is set by themselves, their scene partners, and their intimacy coach, how do we language that? And also because this issue is compounded. It's a very unique context, friends, and I really would like for us to look at it from that lens of uniqueness. It is sexual violence that is premised within a scene of sexual violence. So it's easy for people to think, oh no, we don't know where the actual crime starts and ends because the scene itself is criminal. We are projecting criminality. Which is why I am calling on the intimacy coordinator who was in the room to give us clarity on the matter. Production wasn't there. You can quote, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The police were not there. The 12 crew members were not there, who we are certain of in that room, coordinating and choreographing a scene that is for the advancement of the show, but also protecting the practitioners, the people who were there to establish those rules of engagement. Bonko Khoza, Nirvana Nokwe-Mseleku, and the stunt coordinator, who is still anonymous at the height of this conversation. And that person, their point of view, will be able to save us from doing this he said, she said, that falls into the toxic masculinity narrative. And also it illuminates the deep-seated favoritism that is embodied by, a person's success and how much we love them interpersonally. They could never do this. No one, rest, Betunani, rest. Your fave, we are not saying your fave is a criminal. What we are saying, though, that in a space of work, there are basics that are undermined. Or in this case of Red Ink, there are basics and fundamentals that were undermined, that have come at the expense of a practitioner saying, I'm no longer participating in this industry. All you needed to do was to come into the intimacy space and say, listen, this is what I think would drive the scene. And upon that physical language, because it's choreography, so it's physical language. So if you think you need to thrust someone rather, we then put mitigating things, Mandicho, to help with this thrusting that you are proposing that doesn't come at the expense of the person that you are performing with. And I know the narrative, and it comes from people who are audiences that, oh no, it's acting. If you can't do it, then Puma, here. And I would like to say that my measure of being able to take violence should not be the metric on which you judge how good I am at my job. That should never be the thing. There are health and safety protocols in every industry. And don't think just because actors are brilliant in what they do that we don't adhere to a code. We do have codes. People aren't aware of them. And this context ought to reveal what those codes are and how we contravene them and how we ought to be taking accountability and how we rectify wrongs and how we also learn lessons here. Because for an impassioned performer like Bonko, maybe restraint is the lesson here. But I think the conversation around, is he a predator? That's not the conversation here. Is he a practitioner who can go ahead of a scene at the expense of their scene partner? According to Nirvana, yeah, he's able to do that. To the point where now she is now faced with a myriad of triggers around violence in the country. Around violence that she has also faced or she knows of, and Umzimba is a sensitive place. So I would like for you all to please let me know what your thoughts are. And I invite you to really look at the situation for what the situation is and not superimpose what we understand about violence in the broader sense, that we fine-comb this moment. And in fine-combing this moment, we create structures and we create processes on our sets that protect everyone, and we are able to hold people accordingly when a question or when a moment of reckoning, as in the case of Nirvana, comes about. And that is a sign about I must wrap this up. Do follow me on social media. You will find all of my handles below. And remember, good people, you need art and art needs you.